Hello and welcome back. I'm Mark Hayes and this is 5 Talk Street. Texas wrestling star Justin Wren is on a mission to fight for the forgotten people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. NBC 5's Mark Fine has his story.
I'm joined by Justin Wren, who's got a really special story. This is a Texas native. I'm embarrassed here for a second. A 10-time state high school wrestling champion, right?
Yeah.
10 times. UFC fighter, professional fighter. I know Justin's been through some tough times as well, some down times, dealt with some substance abuse issues, and but a new and I would say fruitful relationship with God, and that has led him to something that we really want to talk about today, what we really want to talk about, which is an undertaking that is not only inspiring, but extremely ambitious as well. So I'd like you to tell the folks at home what you're working on right now.
Well, right now it's called the Fight for the Forgotten. My Pygmy family in the Congo, they're the smallest, most persecuted, most hated people group in the world. But they live in the jungle in the forest of the Congo, second largest rainforest in the world, and they've actually been enslaved. They're the oldest hunter-gatherer nomadic tribe on the planet, but recently that's been exploited because they can't hunt and gather like they used to whenever the trees are being deforested and the animals are fleeing. So right now we're working on freeing slaves there.
Freeing slaves. This is no small undertaking, obviously. You're not doing it by yourself. Tell us how the program works. Actually,
I'm doing it with Shalom University. It's the oldest university in all of Congo. It's probably one of the most respected entities in all of Congo. They're friendly and friends with the people. Everyone knows that their heart's for the people of Congo, whether that's from the government, the rebels, the actual just people, or the pygmies. And so I'm working with them, and in September we saw 60 slaves be set free and put on 30 acres of land and get an agriculturalist there to help them farm for the first time in history.
Amazing.
Yeah, now it's doubled to 120 slaves on 60 acres of land.
You talk about slavery. I want to be clear for people on this. I know they're slaves for food and water. They're basically forced to work in order just to eat, right?
Yeah, actually, my buddy Harry in the tribe, he's a slave for 10 to 12 hours a day. This is an elderly man, 10 to 12 hours a day, and he might get 2 minnows. The time that I saw him, he got paid 2 minnows the size of my pinky. His wife was at home, and if you don't work, you don't eat, and she was sick, so he had to split those 2 minnows with her. And so, yeah, that's the kind of pay they get.
As we're looking at Harry right now, 12 hours for those 2 minnows.
Yep,
unbelievable. That's a rough thing to see, but I know you've seen a lot rougher. You've spent, talk about the time you've spent there. You spent 2 separate months there, and now you're going to be going back for a year.
Yeah.
Talk about what you've seen, maybe the toughest thing you've seen in the time you've already spent there.
Yeah, last time I thought I had seen a lot of tough things with whether it was, waterborne illnesses or HIV or tuberculosis, children with tuberculosis. And then I heard stories that children were rejected hospital treatment, and I couldn't believe that until I saw 1.5-year-old innocent infant named Andy Bo, and he was rejected hospital treatment twice. 2 separate times where his mom was told she's too dirty to come inside of the hospital.
Unreal.
And the second time they came back with more than enough money, which they had to beg for because they don't get paid in money.
Right.
But they came back with more than enough, and they reject them, saying we won't waste medicine on a pygmy animal. They actually believe because the pygmies are smaller, the average men's height is 4'7", that you can kill and cook and eat a pygmy, and you can get superhuman powers.
And he passed.
Yeah, Andy Bo passed away, and it was one of the roughest things I've ever gone through in my life. It is the roughest thing I've ever gone through in my life because $1 would have cured him, but $48 was the casket that I buried him in. And so, yeah, he died, and I had his blood actually on my hands and buried him the next day, and actually absolutely just heartbreaking.
All right. You talk about trying to free slaves. We don't have a lot of time left, but how do you go about freeing the slaves? Basically, you barter for their freedom, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We go to the Bantu tribes, and they're the ones that are enslaving them, but not holding them to gunpoint or putting them in shackles like some of the other regions.
Right.
But the Bantu, we go to them, and we either negotiate with water wells. Shalom University has a school of community development, and so we buy land for the pygmies, sometimes from the Bantu. We place the pygmies on there, but then we give a water well to the former former slave masters, so which absolutely changes their lives. It's not like slavery here where it, sipping tea and then watching them do all the work. Completely different, where we're actually changing their lives too, being a benefit to them.
So you build the water wells and that gets the freedom. All right. Tell people how they can help. You've got a website, right?
Yeah, it's fightfortheforgotten.com, and I'm just excited to even have a life that I can live where hopefully it changes things, and that's what we're trying to do, a fight for the forgotten. The Pygmies feel forgotten, and we're trying to make sure they know that they aren't forgotten, that they're loved, and that they're cared about.
You can see the whole story we did on NBC5 at NBCDFW.com, and you can also go to Fight for the Forgotten if you want to help out, make a donation, or learn more about the great work that Justin is doing. Justin, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, 5 Talk Street will be back right after this.